Hey everybody, it's your girl Nell, and you know what time it is. It is time, it is book club time. I have been away for a little bit. I've been doing some things with my husband and taking care of some business, and I'm so sorry for neglecting you guys. But I really appreciate you guys for staying here with me, hanging out with me here in the tiny studio when I'm able to pop in. I really appreciate it. If you are a new subscriber, excuse me, if you are a new subscriber to the channel, thank you so much. I see you. Thank you so much for joining me here in the tiny studio, and I hope that you come for regular visits here in the tiny studio with the rest of us. How are you doing, everyone? If you are a long-time subscriber, thank you so much for hanging in there with me. If you're new to the channel, I have said previously that my husband was diagnosed with cancer, so he is undergoing chemotherapy. And if you know anything about chemo, it is very, very taxing and difficult on the body. So my husband's been going through a difficult time, but but we are all hopeful, prayerful, and still filled with what? Grace. So today is book club time, and we're going to continue our journey with Prince Harry. Yes, we are. Now, if you recall, the last time we were here in the book club, we talked about, we read how, we read Prince Harry's recollection of being told that his mother, Princess Diana, was killed in a car crash in Paris, France. And I believe that her bodyguard or the driver of the car that she was in perished, and so did her boyfriend, whose name was Dodi Alfad. You know what? I always mess up his name. I always mess up that man's name. I'll get it right eventually. But anyhow, we're going to pick up where we left off. And I believe we're going into the next day or that weekend. I don't know. Let's just get to it. Let me just stop talking. Let's just get to the reading, okay? All right, here we are. Prince Harry's Spare. I don't have any gossip for you about what's going on with the um, the royal coronation that's going to be happening in May. I don't have any gossip on that. All I know is that there has been some talk that King Charles wants to give the BBC an interview, and I'm guessing he wants to give an interview ahead of the coronation and maybe perhaps address the things that his beautiful second son here talks about in this book and has spoken about in the media. But, maybe that will be another video that I get into. What do you think? And also in book club, we were getting into Ginger Duggar Vuolo's book, and I cannot think of the name of it right now. I have it around here. But anyhow, a lot of you didn't seem to really get into that book, the first chapter of it. So if you would like for me to continue to read from Ginger's book, let me know down in the comments section, and we'll get back to reading Ginger Buulo's book, Ginger Duggar Buulo uh, memoir about releasing herself from the religion or the cult that she grew up in. All right, but we're going to get back to Prince Harry though, right now. Let's do it. Okay, here we go. It was Sunday, so we always went to church. Crassy Kirk, walls of granite, large roof of Scottish pine, stained glass windows donated decades earlier by Victoria, perhaps to atone for the upset she caused in worshipping there. Something about the head of the Church of England worshipping in the Church of Scotland. It caused a stir which I never understood. I've seen photographs of us going into the church that day, but they bring back no memories. Did the minister say anything? Did he make it worse? Did I listen to him or stare at the back of the pew and think about Mummy? On the way back to Balmoral, a 2-minute drive, it was suggested that we stop. People had been gathering all morning outside the front gates. Some had begun leaving things, stuffed animals, flowers, cards. Acknowledgments should be made. We pulled over, stepped out. I could see nothing but a matrix of colored dots, flowers and more flowers. I could hear nothing but a rhythmic clicking from across the pond. The press. I reached for my father's hand for comfort, then cursed myself because that gesture set off an explosion of clicks. I'd given them exactly what they wanted: emotion, drama, pain. They fired and fired and fired. Hours later, Paul left for Paris, accompanied by Mummy's sisters, Aunt Sarah and Aunt Jane. They needed to learn more about the crash, someone said, and they needed to arrange for the return of Mummy's body. Body? People kept using that word. It was a punch in the throat and a bloody lie, because Mummy wasn't dead. That was my sudden insight. With nothing to do but roam the castle and talk to myself, a suspicion took hold, which then became a firm belief. This was all a trick. And for once, the trick wasn't being played by the people around me or the press, but by Mummy. Her life's been miserable. She's been hounded, harassed, lied about, lied to. So she staged an accident as a diversion and run away. The realization took my breath away, made me gasp with relief. Of course, it's all a ruse, so she can make a clean start. At this very moment, she's undoubtedly renting an apartment in Paris or arranging fresh flowers in her secretly purchased log cabin somewhere way up high in the Swiss Alps. Soon, soon she'll send for me and Willie. It's all so obvious. Why didn't I see it before? Mummy isn't dead. She's hiding. I hate to get into this again, but I guess it's something that we understand more fully now is grief and how children react to grief. Because something this traumatic that's happened to Harry is going to change his life forever, just as it would any child. That's why it would have been great if the royal family would have provided some type of grief counseling for Prince William and Prince Harry. Um, because even though they had probably already detached themselves from Diana as a sister-in-law, daughter-in-law, cousin-in-law, they probably already detached themselves from her. However, it's her little boys who are going to have to pick up the pieces of their lives without their mother. And that's why it's important. That was in 1997. So today, in 2023, we have to always be conscious about the mental health of our children, because how they deal with trauma is going to have an effect on how they view or how they see things for the rest of their lives. So that's why I keep reiterating that the way Prince Harry sees things, I believe he's like 12 at this point, this is going to color everything in every aspect of his life up until today. Here he is, and let's continue. I felt so much better. Then doubt crept in. Hang on. Mummy would never do this to us. This is unspeakable pain. She'd never allow that, let alone cause it. Then back to relief. She had no choice. It was her only hope of freedom. Then doubt again. Mummy wouldn't hide. She's too much of a fighter. Then relief. This is her way of fighting. She'll be back. She has to be. It's my birthday in 2 weeks. So do you see how his mind, how he's really processing the fact that his mother has been killed in a car accident? It's one moment, okay, she's not with us anymore. But then the next moment, it's she's hiding. This is all just some type of sick game. And then in the next moment is mommy will never do something like that to us. She will never allow us to be in this type of pain. And she definitely would not, separate from us in this way as some type of joke. So this is him and his mind trying to adjust to the fact that his mother has passed. It's denial and cautious acceptance. Let's get back to the reading. But Pa and my aunts came back first. Their return was reported by every TV channel. The world watched as they stepped onto the tarmac at RAF Norfolk. One channel even added music to the arrival, someone mournfully singing a psalm. Willie and I were kept from the TV, but I think we heard that. The next few days passed in a vacuum, no one saying anything. We all remained ensconced inside the castle. It was like being inside a crypt, except a crypt where everyone's wearing tules and keeping to normal routines and schedules. If anyone talked about anything, I didn't hear them. The only voice I heard was the one droning in my head, arguing with itself. She's gone. No. She's hiding. She's dead. No. She's plain dead. Then one morning it was time. Back to London. I remember nothing about the trip. Did we drive? Did we fly on the royal flight? I could see the reunion with Pa and the aunts, and the pivotal encounter with Aunt Sarah, though it's wreathed in fog and might be slightly out of sequence. At times my memory places it right there in those horrid first days of September, but at other times memory casts it forward to many later years. Whenever it happened like this. William, Harry, Aunt Sarah has something for you boys. Excuse me, my microphone fell. Okay, let me put it back. There we go. All right. Okay, let me read that again. William, Harry, Aunt Sarah has something for you boys. She stepped forward holding 2 tiny blue boxes. What's this? Open it. I lifted off the top of my blue box. Inside was a moth? No. A mustache? No. What's the... Her hair, Harry. Aunt Sarah explained that while in Paris, she clipped 2 locks from Mummy's head. So there it was, proof she was really gone. But then immediately came the reassuring doubt, the life-saving uncertainty. No, this could be anybody's hair. Mummy, her beautiful blonde hair intact, was out there somewhere. I'd know if she weren't. My body would know. My heart would know. And neither knows any such thing. Both were just as full of love for her as ever. Now, when I first read that, I had to read it several times because what I didn't understand was why didn't Prince Charles, who is now King Charles now, why didn't they allow the boys to see her body? Why didn't they allow the boys to see Princess Diana's body in the casket? I mean, this, to me, this is kind of problematic. And I understand how maybe some years before, we're not talking about 1997, how about years maybe previously, maybe back in the 50s or 60s or whatever, at the time, a lot of parents did not allow their children to go to funerals, right? And because they felt that kids could not could not fully understand what death really means. So people had their own superstitions and kept their kids at home or what have you. But in a situation like this, it's 1997, and you would cut a snippet of their mother's hair and put it in a box and give it to them. What was that all about? In a lot of ways, the adults in Prince Harry and Prince William's lives dropped the ball at the most crucial point in their child development. No one knew that Harry was having these type of difficulties. We don't know what William was thinking. I guess maybe one day he'll write a book and tell us what he was thinking, but this is what Harry was thinking. He was thinking that this was all some type of joke. And then to hand him a box so that he can see some hair and you tell him this is his mother's hair. How does he know that? He don't know that. I mean, maybe seeing his mother in a casket, maybe if he actually saw her, that would have given him the closure that he needed. Maybe getting him some type of psychiatric help that would have helped to give him some finality and help him deal with his grief. Because right now, this little boy's mental health is in danger, is at stake. And as we continue, this traumatic situation is going to have a tremendous effect on his entire existence. But let's continue on. Willie and I walked up and down the crowds outside Kensington Palace, smiling, shaking hands, as if we were running for office. Hundreds and hundreds of hands were thrust continually into our faces, the fingers often wet. From what, I wondered? Tears, I realized. I disliked how those hands felt. More, I hated how they made me feel. Guilty. Why were all these people crying when I wasn't and hadn't? I wanted to cry, and I tried to, because Mummy's life had been so sad that she felt the need to disappear, to invent this massive charade. But I couldn't squeeze out one drop. Maybe I learned too, well, absorbed too deeply the ethos of the family, that crying wasn't an option, ever. I remember the mounds of flowers all around us. I remember feeling unspeakable sorrow, yet being unfailingly polite. I remember old ladies saying, "Oh my, how polite the poor boy." I remember muttering thanks over and over. "Thank you for coming. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for camping out here for several days." I remember consoling several folks who were prostrate, overcome, as if they knew Mummy, but also thinking, "You didn't, though. You act as if you did, but you didn't know her. That is, you don't know her. Present tense. After offering ourselves up to the crowds, we went inside Kensington Palace. We entered through two big black doors into Mummy's apartment, went down a long corridor and into a room off the left. There stood a large coffin, dark brown, English oak. Am I remembering or imagining that it was draped in a Union Jack? That flag mesmerized me, maybe because of my boyish war games, maybe because of my precocious patriotism, or maybe because I've been hearing rumblings for days about the flag, the flag, the flag. That was all anyone could talk about. People were up in arms because the flag hadn't been lowered to half mast over Buckingham Palace. They didn't care that the royal standard never flew at half mast, no matter what, that it flew when Granny was in residence and didn't fly when she was away, full stop. They cared only about seeing some official show of mourning, and they were enraged by its absence. That is, they were whipped into rage by the British papers, which were trying to deflect attention from their role in Mummy's disappearance. I recall one headline addressed pointedly at Granny: "Show us you care." How rich, coming from the same fiends who cared so much about Mummy that they chased her into a tunnel from which she never emerged. By now I overheard this official version of events. Paps chased Mummy through the streets of Paris, then into a tunnel where her Mercedes crashed into a wall or cement pillar, killing her, her friend, and the driver. Standing beside the flag-draped coffin, I asked myself, is Mummy a patriot? What does Mummy really think of Britain? Has anyone bothered to ask her? When will I be able to ask her myself? Mm. So what are your thoughts so far? If you recall, there hadn't been any official word from Buckingham Palace regarding the death of Princess Diana. And the public, or the UK, had been waiting, well, I should say the world had been waiting for, almost a week for the Queen or someone from Buckingham Palace to release a statement to show that they were mourning the death of Princess Diana. But as I said before, Princess Diana, as far as having ties to Buckingham Palace, all of those ties have been severed. I don't think anyone talked to her or spoke to her or communicated with her after the divorce with after the divorce between herself and Prince Charles. I think the only ties that anyone had in Buckingham Palace to Princess Diana was through her sons, and that's it. So to see that Buckingham Palace itself hadn't released an official statement, hadn't really said anything, that was not surprising to me and to a lot of other people who have been following the events that led to the divorce. We were not surprised. I have to agree with Prince Harry when he said that Brit the British people were whipped into a frenzy about some show of sympathy for the loss of Diana coming from Buckingham Palace. I do believe that the papers had whipped the crowds into feeling the way that they did. And I also felt that when the Queen finally made a statement, it had to be done. It really did. It had to be done. And she did a really good job. I don't know how sincere it was, but she really did a great job. And she did deliver on expressing the sentiments of the royal family in regards to the death of Princess Diana, who used to be one of their own. All right, then. So I will see you next time here in the book club. Oh, here for, the book club. And we will continue with Prince Harry's Spare. Yes, we will. If you have any books that you would like for me to get into or that we can discuss here in book club, please let me know down in the comment section. If you have any thoughts or comments about what we've just got into, let me know and we can talk about it. But until next time, this is the end of this particular segment of book club. But join me again here in the tiny studio and we will continue Spare by Prince Harry. I see you later. Bye bye.